on the Russian territory in a surprise incursion in August, managing to hold much of the area despite Russian efforts aided by North Korea to drive forces back over the border. Joining us now to discuss, Cedric Leighton, retired U.S. Air Force colonel and CNN military analyst. Great to have you here. Good to see you. Let's just start first generally with your take on the situation as it stands today between Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, Jessica, well, good to be with you. There are a lot of different aspects to this, but the main thing is that the Ukrainians are still consistently moving forward in certain areas, but in other areas, they're kind of giving ground in the east, especially to the Russians. So a lot of the gains that the Russians are making in the east are incremental, but when it comes to what's happening in Kursk, the Russians have not dislodged the Ukrainians from there. And in fact, as you noted, the Ukrainians are engaging in a counteroffensive, which is basically aimed at cleaning out some of the Russian areas and the North Korean areas around the area of Sucha, which is the town that they occupy in that district in Russia, right across the border from them.
And Ukrainian President Zelensky says the Russian army lost up to a battalion of North Korean soldiers who've now joined Moscow's fight and some Russian paratroopers. If that's in fact accurate, how impactful is that sort of defeat?
Well, it could be up to 1,000 soldiers that would be lost in a situation like that. Normal battalion size in the Russian military is somewhere between 600 and 800 soldiers, depending on the type of battalion. So let's cut it in half and say about 500 were lost. That's still somewhat significant in a specific operation. Now, it's not going to change the course of the war by itself. It's also not going to change exactly what the Russian goals are, but it could have a momentum of its own, and actions like this, if the Russians were in fact, and the North Koreans were in fact in a situation where they lost that many people, that could have a significant impact on their ability to carry